Hey everybody, Corey here coming at you with another knife review video. This time it is of the Rike 1902 BCF. This is the first video I've done in a long time with a knife that I actually picked out for myself that I think is absolutely beautiful. If you're interested in a closer look, go watch the 360 video that I inevitably post with all of these knives. But without further ado, let's get into what we normally do with the size comparisons. Here you will see it next to the Ontario Rat Model 2, which is our conventionally small knife. Here you can see it next to the ZT0452CF, which is our conventionally large knife. So what you will see here is that it is much closer to the ZT. As a matter of fact, they are just about the same size. As always, I will link all specs in the description, but there they are lined up butt to butt. The ZT's got about 1/4 of an inch in overall length on the Rike 1902 BCF. Now let's get the ZT out of the picture and let's talk about this knife. What I love about it, what I might not love about it, and what my overall thoughts are. So, first of all, look at this. Just look at this. Look at what they've got going with the blue, with the gold hardware. You've got the beautiful shredded carbon fiber. You've got these beautiful, or this beautiful back spacer. You've got this beautiful pocket clip with what I believe is a zinc little ball in there holding it in place. Keeps it in your pocket. Pretty darn cool. And if you look really closely, might be kind of hard to see here, the titanium has a kind of orange peel texture to it. That's how it's been commonly described, an orange peel texture. It does actually provide just the slightest bit of extra traction, and I actually really like that. The blade steel is M390, written in just a beautiful font, in my opinion. And you can see right there, Rike 1902. BCF stands for blue carbon fiber. There is also an RCF, which is red carbon fiber. However, the accents on the RCF remain blue. So the pocket clip is still blue, the back splacer is still blue, and the pivot is still blue. Things that I love about, and just, oh, look at that blade shape. Things that I love about this knife. It is relatively ergonomic. I say relatively because I have one tiny little gripe, which is that it becomes quite skinny down here at the end. And it just really feels just a little strange to me. It's somewhat thin and it's just very tiny down here. Feels like my pinky's really just kind of pinching it. Other than that, the jimping on this backspacer is totally inoffensive. Unoffensive? Whatever. It does not hurt your hand. It does provide a little bit of extra traction, but it really doesn't, it's not going to gouge up your hand or anything like that. The jimping on the spine of the blade, I think it is somewhat useful, but it is mostly inoffensive. Same thing as the jimping back here. I don't think this has ever been designed to be a hard user. I might complain more about the jimping if I thought that was the case, but really, it does serve a functional purpose. It provides a little bit of extra traction. Not too much extra traction, but a little bit. The full finger choil, I actually think this knife is more comfortable to hold using the finger choil because you get to avoid that problem that I was talking about down there where the knife becomes too skinny. And the blade is so long that it's actually really comfortable to hold it like this. You feel like you get more control of the blade. That being said, the balance is actually spot on. I'm balancing that on my pointer finger right now, holding it as you would normally hold it. I have no problems with that. This groove right here that's cut out, I have no problem with it. No. You cannot flick this knife open. You cannot flick this knife open to save your life. This knife has one of the stiffest detents I have ever felt on a knife. And on one hand, that makes it so that the action will never, ever, ever fail. This knife shoots open faster than just any other knife I've ever handled that is this size. I absolutely love that. I love the blade shape. I love that it's all belly. I love that you've got a little bit of that sheep's foot at the very top. It just makes it feel very nice when you're doing pull cuts. Gosh, I really do love this knife, and I don't know if I can really say enough about it. The interesting thing is that even though it's a beautiful knife, I feel like it's definitely a showpiece. Between the M390 blade steel in how sturdy it feels constructed, I actually wouldn't judge you if you used this as your working knife too. I think this knife actually has a lot of capacity to be a show knife and a working knife if that's what you want out of it. While I'm here, the only other complaint that I can really make, the lock bar tension is crazy. It's really stiff, which actually might be contributing to be the primary reason that the detent is so stiff is because the detent is laid in the lock bar, and the lock bar has a ton of tension. You can still close it with one hand. It's not that big of a deal. The action is just glassy. It's so glassy. There's no friction whatsoever. It's just absolutely wonderful. Now, that being said, it is not drop shut, but honestly, for how stiff it is, that's really not a lot of force. I mean, I can still very easily just whoop. It's so smooth. The action is so smooth and so snappy. Everything they've done here, I think the backspacer is beautiful. I think the pocket clip is beautiful. I think this knife is unique enough for you to be able to show it off to everybody you know confidently. I think it's the kind of knife that even non-knife people look at it and they go, whoa, that looks fancy. And you know what? It is fancy. At the same time, I think it would be a great user. The ergos are substantially enhanced, in my opinion, when you choke up on the finger choil. This is an absolutely beautiful knife. They also sell a version with Damascus steel that's a little bit closer to $300. This one will run you about $200 if you can get your hands on it. And you know what? Honestly, that's cheaper than my ZT, and my ZT was a huge letdown. I would take this over my ZT any day. I think this is an absolutely wonderful knife. I would absolutely encourage you to buy this. I think this is a knife that you get it in your hands and you're actually proud of it. One tiny little thing. See that little gouge right there? That came with the knife. Problem is, I don't know if that came from the factory or if that came from the retailer who was handling it. I can't say that for sure. And the only other thing I will say, a little bit tricky, disassembly is not necessarily so intuitive. This backspacer actually spins on a screw to be taken off and put back on. So you kind of have to line it up and spin it just right so that everything lines up. But honestly, this knife actually competes for the #1 spot in my collection, and it has for a very long time. This might be the knife that I am most proud of, and this might be the knife that I would actually keep if you told me I had to get rid of every single knife I had except for one. Normally, I don't push people to the Silent 360 videos. I do highly encourage you to watch the Silent 360 for this because it is an absolutely beautiful piece, and I think you're really going to enjoy seeing all the nooks and crannies and getting up close and personal with it. So, guys, I know it's been a while. I hope you enjoyed this. Be prepared to see more knives like this. This is really my taste. There's a lot of unique things going on here. And oh, by the way, I didn't even talk about it. Fit and finish, like the inlays, the carbon fiber shred, it's totally flush with the rest of the knife. The screws are totally flush with the raised portions of the knife. I mean, everything is just great. It's absolutely great. I had to get that in there for the record because I didn't talk about that. But guys, hope you enjoyed this. I'll see you next time.